Welcome to Girls Just Want to Have Fun's podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Sarah Adams with ISVs.
I am Naomi Mastera with NMI, and we are here at the Southeast Acquirers Association on their 25th year anniversary. And I'm very excited because I've got my friend Ricky here, who I met probably maybe 6 months, 8 months ago through one of my colleagues, Stephen Meadow. So shout out to you, Stephen. We miss you. And I just wanted to talk about how the show's been for you. What have you seen? Anything exciting?
Yeah, it's lots exciting. Thank you for having me, first of all. When
Okay.
I found out I got to be on a podcast, I was like, oh, that's like a double win. Yeah, the show's been really exciting. This is the first SEA that I've done. Been in payments for 6, 7-ish years, so maybe not as long as a lot of the folks that are here. But it's just kind of cool to see like what everybody's up to and where everybody's thinking. What I like about this industry so much is that it's very forward thinking. It's an old industry that is very young. It operates, it's very fluid, it's very dynamic, it's very accepting of new ideas and new technology. And so coming to shows like this is a good opportunity to just see what people are thinking and what's just around the corner.
So you say 7 years in the payment industry. What did you do before that?
So I'm with Worth AI now. Before I was with Worth, I'll go 2 companies back. I was with a Orlando-based fintech company called Stacks, originally Fat Merchants.
Yes.
So it's with Stacks for about 5 years, and I was responsible, along with a really great team of people, for setting up our embedded payments, our ISV payments division. So we built it from the ground up. It was like a startup within a startup kind of
Yeah.
setting. So it was kind of fun. It was like a little bit de-risked because we had like the company backing us, but it was a small, scrappy team. We had like a closet that they put us in and said, all right,
Yes.
here's your job. You have a year to do it, and we'll fund you and we'll get you the talent and the tools you need, but you have a year. So make it happen in a year. And that year then turned into 5 years, and we grew the company to $1 billion valuation, and left there, went to the ISV side for a little while. So did like the flip, did the,
Yes.
the opposite. Did that for a short spell. And then I just really wanted to be back in payments, back in fintech, doing this stuff. And we were talking about it last night.
Yes.
Nobody chooses to get into the industry, but everyone chooses to stay in the industry, which I think says a lot about our business.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always evolving too. So once you understand the industry, there's so many opportunities too,
So much. Yeah.
And embedded payments, I mean, your background with Stacks, it's anybody who comes from there is like very, in our industry, we look up to them
Yeah.
because you guys have an amazing reputation. I know at
You have to learn it
NMI.
all. You have to know everything.
Yes.
You have to. Yeah. So it was like trial by fire. I came in from a completely different industry, like, I don't say midlife, but like getting close to midlife career change. My wife was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I was like, why not? If this, don't have too many chances to do something like this, so do it. And it was, trial by fire. You just have to learn all of it quick, because the ISVs, they want to know everything. How does this work? How is risk handled? What are chargebacks? What's the process like? What's matched? All these things you have to know exactly how it works and answer all their questions. And if you don't, then, you're in trouble. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so the stakes are high, but it's a lot of fun.
So tell us a little bit about AI now and what you do there and how that can be very valuable for an ISO, for an ISV.
Yeah, so appreciate you asking. So I'll kind of tell the story of kind of how I got there. It's quick, but Sal, was one of the co-founders at Stacks, is also the co-founder at Worth. He had reached out to me along with a couple other people and said, hey, we'd really love you to be on the team. We'd really love you to come work with us. And for me, it was a chance to be able to work with a team that we had already built something great with again. And how often do you get a chance to do that thing twice? Much less twice. So for me, it was like, yeah, this just, I got to do this. It just makes a lot of sense. Aside from that, though, the product is just, it's great. Like, it's just so much, it's so forward thinking, and it's so kind of cutting edge with regards to where the industry's headed. And frankly, something the industry has needed, but the technology has been lagging to kind of get there. And with AI now being what it is, and the speed at which it's evolving, it's one of those situations where you just want to be there in the moment when the thing is happening and have a chance to shape what that looks like specific to your industry. So for us in particular, we handle underwriting and onboarding for pretty much anyone that has any financial application. So SMB, card holder, pretty much anyone, merchant, anything like that, where you have to go through and fill out an application to get some financial products. We come in and we can expedite that process. We can, shorten the form, make it faster to fill out, decrease abandonment. We can handle all the KYB and KYC behind the scenes, and within, a couple of seconds, have an application filled out for someone based on just a couple of data points. And the applicant can say, wow, like I don't have to fill all of this out. This is great. And so you can just get them in faster, get them in the hands of the people that can actually make the decisions, the underwriters or whatnot, and get that person doing the thing they want to do faster, which benefits everybody. And if you want to do it even quicker than that, we can handle auto decisioning, handle, certain risk rules and things like that. So you have kind of the agentic layer, that workflow that goes on behind the scenes that just makes it all happen, and it can be customized to any business. And that has just been tons of fun because again, you get to learn how all these businesses work and really get behind the scenes of like, filling out an application for a credit card for, a major issuer. What does that look like? Well, you're going to find out. You're going to see everything that goes on behind the scenes, what it takes to do it. You look at a beautiful form and find out that there's hundreds or thousands of hours of effort that went behind that form that looks so simple and elegant, and teams of people that maintain it and keep it that way. And that is just super exciting. It's just such a fun part of the industry to be in.
Wow. Is there any other company out there doing anything like that?
Yeah, we have some competitors. There have been some companies who've been around for a little while doing this stuff. We're obviously newer. This company's, 2.5 years old. And we've really focused on the AI side just because of how much that has changed, as I'm sure you guys are super familiar.
Yes.
But I mean, it's astonishing just like day over day to see the conversations I see in our internal Slack channels about, oh, we can do this now because this model now allows it. And we're like, great, we've been waiting on that. And it's like everybody just dog piles on that. And we're like testing the hell out of it to figure out like, how does this now improve this service that we offer? And it's just so cool to see everyone stack hands and just like focus so intently on that thing that people want us to do for them.
Do you see how that would be valuable for your company?
Yeah,
Are they-
that's what are some stats that you have? Maybe it's, the abandonment of the application process, seeing that decrease or reduction in time from
Yeah.
traditional underwriting where everybody's having to log in and do all the things manually versus using the Worth AI platform.
Yeah, you're hitting all the KPIs. So a couple of my favorites are we recently took there's probably some names I'm not allowed to say, so I'll keep it vague for those reasons. But there's some very large processors we work with, and we've been able to take their forms, which are 50 plus fields, down to about 11, and just that in and of itself, and then we can pre-fill even some of those with just a little bit more data from that applicant. So they may see 11 fields, but as they fill stuff in, we're like, oh, okay, I can handle this for you. I can knock that out. Another one I love is from an underwriting standpoint, because the underwriters ultimately are huge benefactors to our product or of our product. And we have a payment company we work with, and this is their data, not ours. They came back and said, hey, I've got underwriters who have 7x their throughput just by having your tool. So they say, hey, we want to do this many applications by this time, and we think it's going to take us this many months or years or whatever to get there. They brought us in and they're like, oh, we can just do it now. It took 30 days and we can, and in fact, our upper bound is now like completely insignificant because of what you guys have done. We can scale that. We have to like reforecast how high we can scale this based on what you guys have done for us. So it's forcing them now to rethink their own business model, their own revenue model, their own forecasting models, and say, holy shit, like,
Well, I don't think they would need as many underwriters too, right? I mean, isn't that because now maybe it will take fewer underwriters to handle that volume?
yeah, and 100%. And a good way to think of that is they can take the dollars that they would have put into hiring underwriters
Yes.
and deploy against sales and marketing. So where traditionally you would have to scale in like multiple areas in order to grow that, and this is on the payment side specifically. Now they say, okay, well, this side has not quite unbounded scale, but close. Now I know exactly where I need to throw my capital dollars to be able to accomplish the rest of that scale. So it's a function, it's a growth function, and we're solving for specific variables that they can now say, awesome, let me just put that capital somewhere else. So yes, maybe there aren't more underwriters, but there's more salespeople, there's more marketing dollars, which is helping grow those departments and feed those departments.
Well, it also pays for itself because if you're offering them a solution where they don't have to have as many, that money can also pay for the service that you're providing.
100%. Yeah, you're getting more apps through, you're getting more approvals, but then we can also do on the back end, we can do proactive risk monitoring and that type of thing. So you're reducing the likelihood and the occurrence rate of fraud. So there's savings from that standpoint too. So now you're not having to deal with, maybe your exposure model now needs to be tweaked because you now have these tools that are making you less prone to exposure that are less prone to risk that may have otherwise gone undetected until it happens. We're able to pick up on those things sooner, flag those warnings and say, hey, you might just want to take a closer look at this. It may be nothing, but it warrants a look.
Yeah. So for our listeners, what do you, if they're interested in learning more about this, what do you recommend?
I would say just go on our site, worthai.com, hit us up. You can ask for a demo on there. If you want to go more direct, just find me on LinkedIn, DM me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have a conversation and get you in touch with the right person.
Any new features or functionalities that you guys are going to bring to market in the next couple months or this year?
Yeah, I'll go back to my comment about AI before. There's always something planned, and then there's always these little curveballs. They're like, oh, we could do this instead. That's really cool. So it becomes more a matter of like being disciplined and sticking to the thing, but having a little bit of flexibility there with regard to how AI landscape is changing. So there's some pretty cool stuff. I don't want to talk about it just yet because of that, but yeah, we got some fun stuff around the corner.
It's just, I'm sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I hear there's this story that I need to hear.
Well, one of the things that we do a lot in our podcast is we share what was your first job? That way we kind of get to know, it's always funny to get interesting, stories about somebody's first job, right out of high school. Some people even younger. I shared with you last night, my first job, I was 8 years old working for my dad at the fruit stand.
So cool.
So you shared a story with us last night, and I wanted you to share it with Sarah and with everyone because I think you have a really interesting first job story.
Yeah, interesting is a good way to put it. So, similar boat to you, a little bit older. I was 13 when I got my first job, so it was very under the table. Like, hey, I think it was more so like my dad wanted me out of the house for summer, so he's like, best thing for you to do is go start earning an income, so I don't have to pay for you. But I was 13, and we had a. Well, actually, let me backtrack. For anyone listening and watching this, you've probably heard of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and it's definitely a vibe. That's where I grew up. So Myrtle Beach is an interesting place, near and dear to my heart, but it's an interesting place. And there was a used bookstore that we had there. And I was, as a kid, really into comic books. This is like comic book movies back then were terrible. There was like 2 and they were awful. Like B is generous. They were like D movies, like pretty bad. So anyone who's like a comic book fan now, I don't have the same respect for you as I did back then because it's like, it was not like that back then. But anyway, there was this used bookstore, and that was where my dad and I would buy all of our comic books. So summer rolled around, and my dad, being the kind of guy that he is, was like, you should go work in the bookstore. And we were friends with the owner, because we bought a lot of comic books from this guy. You should go work in the bookstore. And I think the ulterior motive was like, hey, you'll probably get like a good discount on some comic books in the process. And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'll go work in the comic book store. So talked to the owner. He's like, yeah, I could use some help this summer. No big deal. Of course, all under the table. So it's,
Yeah.
he's
You're
not
13.
getting like top wages or anything. Right. So anyway, I started the job summer. Day 1, he said, all right, your first job is I need you to go through and I need you to learn where all the different book categories are in the store. And this place was not organized at all. There was like the little signs on the shelves, but it was like, all right, are these books actually in the right place? So it's like, romance, sci-fi, horror, like all that stuff. So it took a couple days, but I got it all memorized. And so days went by, first week went by. And what I started noticing was that no one was buying the books. Everyone was buying comics. Like that was where clearly like the money was being made. Yeah. So all the people were buying comics. Well, I had been buying comics there for so long, and I was such a comic book nerd that I knew where everything was. So someone can come in and say, oh, I want, Incredible Hulk 200. I'm like, I know exactly where that is. And oh, by the way, we had 2 issues. One's higher grade than the other, so I'll point you to the better one, but it's going to cost you $5 more. I just knew this because I was a comic book nerd. So the owner saw this and he's like, "Hey, I don't really care about the comic books all that much," which is kind of weird. I was like,
Mhm.
I know that's how you're making all your money, or so I thought. And he's like, "But you know a lot about it, so why don't you just like run the comic book department?" And I'm like 13 years old. Like, is this guy out of his mind? I'm like, "Sure, I'll run the comic book department." So my first job was working in a used bookstore, running the comic book department. Soon as summer, plays its course, finish up, get paid, leave the comic book store. I don't know, a few months later, whatever, um, they're not open anymore. They're just like out of business, shut down. And we're like, how can that be? Like, there was so many people coming in to buy comic books. Well, it turns out he was making all his money not off of comic books, but off of selling drugs. So it was actually a drug front that he was running the entire time. And yeah, so I was 13 years old working in a comic book store that was actually a front for a cocaine dealer in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
How did you find out?
Oh, it
Was
was
it in
all
the
over the news.
news? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
All
was
over the
all over the
news.
news. Yeah, it hit the news, and I remember my dad was like, "Oh, we need to talk." I was like, "Sure, what about?" Because this is like early '90s. There wasn't like there was
Yeah.
internet, but not really.
Yeah.
He's like, we need to talk." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What do we need to talk about?" And he's like, the place," and I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So here's what was going on," and I'm like, "Huh." I'm like, "Yeah, I connect the dots now. I can see like it makes a little bit of sense."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I get it. So yeah, that was it. And he's like, "You cool? Like anything ever happened there?" I'm like, "No, just normal. I just thought it was a
Selling
normal job."
comics.
He's like, "All right, well, as long as we're cool, we're cool." And that was like, that's how my dad handled things. He was like, "Yeah, all right, well, you're good. I'm good. Let's just go back to normal living." And
Biggest
that was that.
biggest cocaine dealer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
One of
were
the
you were
biggest
the
in the
front
Grand
kid
Strand.
for it.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you for sharing that story. It made me laugh so much last night. And the thing is that we all told our stories around the table. And when he was telling the story, we didn't see it coming, and then he blindsided us.
Hey, that's the beauty of that one is nobody
Right.
saw that one coming. Even him.
Yeah.
No one saw it coming.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, thank you for sharing with the details of Worth AI and appreciate you joining the podcast.
Sarah heard the punchline. She's like, "This show's over. Like, we're done. Get this over."
No, no, that
No,
was
I'm kidding.
no. It's been a great show. It's been fun for me getting to know you, and wish you much success. And if we're here to can help you in any way, let us know.
Of course. Yeah, no, it's been great. And I appreciate you guys for having me on. Thank
And
you.
anything on the AI front that you predict or any interesting thoughts around that?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is aside from just like what we're doing, just AI in general and how it's kind of getting into the workplace and people are using it in their day to day. The one thing I've noticed the most is that there's a lot aside from just the general uncertainty and stuff around it, which I think is fair. Any new technology is like the same with the internet when that was coming. It was like, oh, it's going to destroy everything. Um, I think a lot of the uncertainty has to do with people wondering like, well, how do I actually use it? And my advice to folks on that side is just use it.
Yeah.
Just anything. Just try something and you'll see like you'll get the feedback
Yeah.
quickly. And that's what's fun about it is you can give it a job to do and it'll do it. It may not do it the way you want it or to the standard that you want. And then other times, I think more often than not, it'll blow you away at how good it is at what it does. And as you do that, you just start to get these little unlocks of like, oh, it can do that. Well, I wonder if it can do that. And within a day or two, you're finding that like, wow, actually I could use this for a lot of things. And for me, that was one of my biggest unlocks too, as I'm, just thinking through, I was trying to be like so specific about I do this, it could do that. And instead I just gave it things that just popped into my head. I was like, here, just go do this. And we use Claude in our kind of like our workspace and cowork would come back and be like, oh, I did this thing for you. And I'm like, that was pretty great. I mean, like things that I knew for sure would take me probably 2 weeks between phone calls and other things to like allot time and actually sit down and do maybe 30 minutes. And it produced like a 90% complete version, another 30 minutes. And I was like 98%. And I'm like, this is amazing.
It has been a game changer for my life in every aspect. I still haven't tapped into everything. My husband does all of the graphics on it. He's like, really, he did that behind us.
Oh yeah. The visuals. Yeah. The graphics.
And
Yeah.
I'm just, so I'm not there, but for business, it's made me more efficient. I think I'm more prepared before I get on a call with a client. It's just it's really changed the way my productivity during the day.
Yep.
Because where I used to spend an hour or two reviewing a website before getting on a call with a client so that I could really understand how to, sell them on why NMI is good for them. Now it's like I get it in front of me. I just kind of review. You always have to check it because
Right.
there might be some, but it's made me very productive and made my life easier. So I love it. I'm embracing it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Embrace it. Just give it a chance.
Right.
It'll do some cool stuff
Yeah.
for you.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. That would be
Thanks,
thanks
ladies.
again. We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
it, Ricky.
Yep. Thank you.
Subscribe and follow Girls Just Want to Have Fun